Hi, and welcome to Mark's Motivational Podcast for this Tuesday evening. You're all very welcome along. Tonight, I'm delighted to have another guest author on the podcast, Eileen Moynihan. She's written a lot of kids' books and she told me poetry books as well. So I'm really excited to talk to Eileen tonight. So you're very welcome. You're very welcome along to the podcast, Eileen.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're very
I'm very
welcome along.
pleased to be here.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for doing this. I hope you're all keeping well at these hard times. First of all, hope all's good.
Yes, so far so good.
Yeah,
Waiting for the injection.
Yeah, like everybody is. Yeah. Hopefully, fingers crossed, it starts moving on quicker. But
That's it.
So Eileen, I'll probably start the interview off. Just you've written a couple of books. Do you want to tell the guest the name of your books that you've written?
Okay. Well, the first book I wrote was Rory Gumboots, which is about a hedgehog that lives in Nottinghead Nook, and everything's nice and quiet there until these monster machines come along and start destroying the place. And the animals are trying to come up with a plan to stop their place being ruined, their habitat and everything. Yeah. And then the next one I wrote was called The Wreck of the Hesperus. I don't know if anyone's, when I was young and we came in all messy, my father used to say, you look like the wreck of the Hesperus.
Yeah.
And as a child, I hadn't a clue what he was talking about. I was imagining some kind of strange creature. And so I turned that into a book about a little boy whose mother gives out to him as well for looking like the wreck of the Hesperus. And there she is giving out to him.
Very good. I love the illustrations, are really good.
Yeah, he goes to sleep that night and he wakes up to find the wreck of the Hesperus is there to meet him. And they go off and they have an adventure playing outside and everything. And they have a great time.
Very good. That looks
and then in the morning he wakes up and was it a dream? But no, there was a tooth left by the wreck of the Hesperus, so he knows that it wasn't a dream. And then my third book was kind of based on the Country Mouse and Town Mouse story. So it was a mouse in London and a mouse from Paris that comes in an au pair suitcase. And they kind of go around, they tour around London and look at the sights. And they go to the Tower of London.
Oh, very good.
They actually go with the au pair and the children. They don't know they're there, but they accompany them unnoticed. And they go down the River Thames, and they all goes around London, so they have a great time. And then the next one was The Dreamsmith. And this is about a little girl who wants to know where dreams come from. So her mother tells her that there's somebody called the Dreamsmith who helps make the dreams. And there he is.
Oh, very good.
He has all the ingredients there for making up the dreams.
Oh, they look really, really good, Eileen. Really, really good. And did it take you long to write the first book, Eileen? Did it take you long to write the first book?
Well, the first book actually, and then I kind of took early retirement from teaching, and I decided, well, look, I'll do something with it, and that started me off, really,
Yeah.
And then there was this book, Frances Darwin Investigates. That's for an older child, and it's about dog napping and how they catch the dog nappers.
Very good.
And then I brought out this one last year. My sister did the beautiful illustrations of flower fairies. Now this is poems about wildflowers and trees.
Very nice, very nice.
And then I had these poems all over my computer and that, and I said, well, I should put them all together and just put them into a book so I won't lose them. So I did a collection of poetry called Dipping into the Font.
Oh,
so that's me.
Yeah, that's really, really good. They're all look absolutely amazing. Well done. And where can people buy them? Are they available on Amazon?
You can get them on Amazon. You can get them on Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're living near Longford, you can get them in the local shop and news round.
Yeah.
And you can get them in County Longford, the Arda Heritage Centre. That's not open at the moment, but you can buy online if you look it up.
Yeah, yeah. Do you want to say one of your poems? Would you like to say one of your poems for the guests? Eileen, would you be happy enough to say one of your poems for the listeners?
Do you want the adult one or one from the Wild Trees one?
If you want to do one from both, it'd be brilliant. If you could do both of them, it'd be great. Just to give people a taste of your work.
Okay. Okay, this one is from my one for adults.
Yeah.
Lush and ripe brambly fruits. Lush and ripe brambly fruits offer themselves as autumn's loot. Rich and resplendent colours and hues glisten seductively in the morning dew. The briars and branches arch their backs to display their goods along country tracks. Pick me, see my fertility, they seem to cry to the unsuspecting stranger walking by. And that innocent reaches out to touch, and the temptation is too much. With swift movement they pluck, and into the mouth to suck their heavenly juice, a seed let loose, falls to earth, ready for rebirth.
That's brilliant. Well done, Eileen.
So really, you could say that's a nature one.
Yeah, that's really good.
This one's about red clover. Now this is for children or adults.
Yeah, great.
Soft spiky heads sway around, stems straggle across the ground, spreading snake-like, wound between grasses where found. People have used you for their ills, rather than taking medical pills, gathering you from grassy hills to cure their many pains and chills. Your sweet taste to all appeals, in summer meadow where we kneel. Purple pink flower of the field, you enrich a farmer's yield. Now, a lot of my poems do rhyme, but they don't always rhyme, but I do like rhyming.
Yeah, that's
I'm
really,
old-fashioned.
Really yeah, I'll be the same. That's really good. Thanks for sharing that with the guests.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's really, really good. And what got you interested in writing, Eileen? Could you maybe say, like, have you always written books and stories?
Ever since I could start to read and write, I was into writing because I loved books, and I wanted to write stories like I'd read. So when I was very small, it was all like fairy things, and then it was adventures and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I suppose I always did enjoy the children's books the best.
Yeah, they're really good. Even to get feedback off children, they really give you great feedback when you're writing for young children, don't they?
They do, and sometimes they give you insights you hadn't even seen yourself when you were writing it. It's very good.
Yeah, it's really
I really
good.
enjoy reading to the children. Yeah.
Did you write these over a couple of years? All these books, is that the way you've done it? Like, would you have over the years, Eileen?
Well, I find some of them I write them, well, especially for the younger children, there's not a lot to write, but you have to kind of simplify it actually, which is quite difficult. You have to kind of cut it down and use language. I try to introduce words that makes them say, what's that word, and find out about the word, but at the same time, not make it too difficult,
Yeah.
There's no harm to extend their vocabulary. I suppose that's a teacher coming out in me.
Yeah.
And some of them could be done in a few weeks, but then you're trying to get sorted with illustrations and all that takes time. Yeah. And then other books, then I've been backwards and forwards changing them, sharing them with others who give me criticism back or critique back to me and make changes, and they take time.
Yeah.
Sometimes it just happens, everything doesn't come together at once, but eventually you get there.
Yeah, that's brilliant. And how long were you a teacher yourself? Were you a teacher for a good few years yourself, Eileen?
About 33 years, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So
I was teaching children with special needs because I grew up in England and I didn't have the Irish. So I eventually did pass the Irish exam, actually just a few years before I took the early retirement. So, but I've kind of fell into that because at the time when I started teaching, you didn't have to have Irish to teach children with special needs, which you do now. But I really enjoyed teaching the children with special needs. They were great fun, you know.
Yeah, exactly, yeah, a very rewarding job, I'd say.
Very rewarding, yes. Stressful as well at times.
I'd say so, yeah, I'd say so. But have some kind of system you'd use, you know, when you're writing, like a routine you'd normally kind of use. When do you find that useful, Eileen?
I'm not great for routine at all.
Okay, yeah.
I try to self-discipline myself, but I'm not great. But you know, when I really need to do something and I can't get going, you know, I just make myself do one sentence. I think it's just making a start. And once you've written a few, it's becoming easier, I find anyway.
Yeah.
Because you have to do research, and that can take up time to make. If you're doing something in a certain time period or whatever, you want to check to make sure you've got all your facts right and that kind of thing, or just get into the feel of that time, you know.
Yeah, exactly. And do you, like, some people I've talked to on the podcast before, they have kind of a reward system that for finishing chapters or stuff like that. Did you ever use that kind of thing, like for finishing a chapter you might reward yourself, or did you ever use anything like that, Eileen, when you were writing your books?
Well, I kind of do rewards. If I say, right, if you do so many words or so many lines, you can you can play a Facebook game, or you can make yourself a cup of tea now.
Yeah, very
10-minute break and then you're back, you know. And,
yeah.
you know, even just break it up, you know, at least you get something done.
Yeah. Would you find that kind of motivates you when you're writing? What motivates you to keep going with your books? Do you have any system that motivates you?
Well, I find I hate deadlines, but I find if I got a deadline, I do it better because I know I have to do it, because I'm a stickler for finishing things. You know, I'd never leave anything unfinished.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be determined to get to the end. I'm very determined once I get going, but it's just getting me going.
Yeah.
That's what I find. But definitely, if something's got to be done by a certain day or whatever, I'll get it done.
So that's good motivator for you. That sounds really good. Yeah.
It's a good motivator for me. Yes.
Yeah. And yeah, thanks for that. That sounds really good for anybody that's listening who's starting off writing books. Is like to get finished is a really good way of keeping yourself motivated. Would you agree with that, Eileen?
Yes, and also, you know, you have to kind of imagine how it's going to be when you're finished and what it's going to be like, and the book will be finished. It'd be great. But sometimes it depends. When I was doing the poetry book about the flowers and trees, I was really on a roll with that. I don't know why. And I was trying to learn all about the flowers and the backgrounds and the history of the flowers, and I found I'd take lines then out of certain things that I saw on Google, and that would give me a clue to the line I would write. And I sometimes with some things you're a lot more motivated than with others, I find.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Exactly. And like at the moment, did you ever did you go the old fashioned route? What I mean by that, did you ever go for a publisher? Did you have any kind of problems with getting your book published at any time, Eileen? Did you have any barriers that would have stopped you in your writing, in getting your book published?
Well, I'm self-published because I did send off to a few people. I suppose I could have done a lot more, but I just thought the whole process is it's so hard. You're sending off to people, and you might not hear for 6 months. You might not hear back at all. Or they just say it's not a fit for their company or whatever. I mean, they always advise you when you go before you go to a publisher to read, do you fit each other really? Are you writing for their kind of genre or audience? You know, it's good to check everything out. And I just thought, I'm not getting any younger, so I just thought I'd go down the self-publishing route, especially when it was getting easier now, you know. And I mean, when I started off, it wasn't that easy. So now it's much easier, and lots of people are self-publishing. It hasn't got that stigma anymore, you know.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%, Eileen, because I did my first book and I self-published, and it's really, really straightforward, isn't it, Eileen? For anybody that's listening, it's a really good way of doing it, especially if you're a first-time writer.
Well, I find, especially, it was Create Space when I started with Amazon, and now it's all Kindle Direct Publishing.
Yeah.
The biggest problem I had was formatting, so I'm not very good at that. So I either got my daughter was around at the time to do something for me, or I paid someone to do it. You can get someone quite cheaply online, you know. So because I did have some feedback, some ebooks I put up, somebody said something about the formatting was awful or something. So you learn as you go along, you know.
You do, yeah, you do, yeah. It's all a learning curve. Yeah, it's all a learning curve. Yeah, but yeah, that's great. And there's any kind of hobbies you like doing? That you include your writing in. Is there any kind of hobbies you like doing, Eileen, during these kind of hard times?
I've always loved listening to stories and storytelling, and I'm chairperson of the Longford Writers Group, and we really enjoy helping each other and listening to each other and feedback. And then I enjoy swimming. I love dancing. I love being out in nature. I love weeding. I find that really, it's like doing mindfulness, really being out in the garden. You kind of lose track of time and everything. You're just kind of one with the plants and the earth. So I find that very therapeutic.
Yeah.
But with the lockdown at the moment, you can't really get out, or the weather, you can't really go out swimming, or, well, I suppose you could. You have to go to freezing lakes and rivers. Some people do. But, you know, just reading. I enjoy reading and doing crosswords. I do lots. I'm always busy. I find I'm not bored at all. In fact, I seem to be busier now than I've ever been. So.
Yeah, it's a very important now, Eileen, isn't it, to keep yourself busy in these times, isn't it? Like, for anybody that's listening, make sure you work at your talents. It's very important now, you know, to enjoy the stuff you do, isn't it?
Very much so, yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
Doing lots of online meetings and courses, so I'm still networking and doing lots of other things.
So what you can do as well, Eileen, is send me on your books that you like, a link to your books on Amazon, and I can put them on the show notes for you as well, Eileen.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem. And is there any kind of influences and writers that have influenced your work through the years, Eileen? Is there any kind of that you can think of?
Well, growing up, I enjoyed Alison Utley, the Little Grey Rabbits stories, and C.S. Lewis. I loved The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe. Tom's Midnight Garden by Philippa Pearce. Of course, all the Enid Blyton books. And there was, a lot, A. Milne, Winnie the Pooh, and all those ones. So I always did enjoy the children's books. I found it harder as I got older to find books I could actually enjoy. I don't know, maybe I'm just a child.
Yeah, like myself.
But, I find it quite hard to find. I read a lot of books and I persevere with them because I feel, to look at different genres and that. But to find a book that you can really just lose yourself in, like I did as a child, I find that quite difficult,
Yeah. And do you know when like your books, are they would they be short enough for kids? The books that you've written, would you keep them kind of short? How many pages will be in each of them? Would it be long books or?
Well, they vary. I mean, the record, the Hesperus now is very short. That'd be like, I just kind of like 4 to 7 year olds. Depends, the younger child be read to, and the older child would read it themselves. That's very short.
That's a great idea. Yeah, well done.
And then like this one for the 8 to 12 year olds. Again, it's quite short for it's 10 chapters or something like that. Yeah.
great. Yeah, yeah. And when you were writing them children's books, Eileen, did you kind of have someone that would say what age group these should be for? Did you have someone look at these books and kind of say, look, what age group would you put these for, or did you kind of know yourself, Eileen?
Well, I did kind of know myself from teaching, I just
Yeah,
found
of course, yeah.
I mean, some people said, oh, that was too hard for my child, or see, the children vary a lot because some children are very good readers, and then you've got the slower reader as well. So you know more or less like what to aim for.
Yeah.
So like that book about the dog nappers is 8 to 12-year-olds, but you might get an older child that would enjoy it too, and then you might get a younger child that was a very good reader that could read it. So it does vary.
Yeah, I hope they're doing really well for you, Eileen. I hope they're doing really well for you.
Well, they could do better, but
Yeah.
You have to keep pushing yourself and marketing
Exactly.
yourself. That's it.
Exactly. Yeah, that's great. And could you talk a little bit around your one for older adults, like older children, like the poetry book? What was the idea around that one, Eileen?
Well, it started off as an idea. There was a lady on Facebook who lives in West Cork,
Yeah.
and she was always putting up these really beautiful photographs every day of wildflowers and everything. And as a child, now my mother she's great for flowers, and she was always like pointing out this flower and that flower and telling us about it. So, and I remembered getting books of flower fairies when I was a child too, with poems about it. Just thought it'd be nice to do a book on that. So that's what I did. So it was about wildflowers and trees.
Very nice.
And then my sister did the pictures, as I said, like that's a rabbit now with the fairy on top of it.
Oh, that's brilliant. Yeah, that's really, really good. It's so well
So she
done.
kind
Like,
of
yeah.
brought
It's
in the
so,
fairies as well into it,
yeah, the pictures are very well done. Like, they're really, really well done. Very professional.
Oh, she is an artist. She's a
Yeah.
professional artist, yes.
Yeah, it's really good because it's funny. I don't know if you've ever heard of this, Eileen, as well. My daughter done a picture from my cover of my book. My 12-year-old or my 11-year-old rather. Sorry, and I sent it to
Yes.
a professional artist, and he made his picture out of it. Like, it's a really good idea that way, isn't it, to do stuff like that? Have you heard of that?
It
Like,
is. It is. Yeah.
yeah, because that's good that you have your sister who, like, it's good to be able to do it like as a family thing as well, isn't it, Eileen?
Yeah. I mean, my son did the pictures in this book. They were just like ones at the beginning of each chapter.
Oh yeah, very
They're
good.
kind of cartoony, Yeah.
Yeah, brilliant. And did you
And then
Sorry.
I was going to say my daughter then did put together that photograph for me too.
Very good. That's
So
brilliant.
it's good to get family to help as well.
Exactly. Yeah, that's brilliant. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And like, that was, with one of your books, would you left them a lot of pictures black and white, or would a lot of them be in colored? Because I find on Amazon, if you're going to put your book in Amazon, it can be costly enough when you're putting a lot of pictures in. Did you find that as well?
Yes, it costs more when you put pictures in, but
Yeah.
except for that one was black and white, but the rest of them are all coloured.
Yeah.
As I said, that was only just like at the beginning of each chapter.
Yeah, it's a great idea. It's a great idea.
The rest, but that's the thing, because it is so expensive. I could have had more pictures, and I would have liked more pictures, like more books, children's books you get in the library and that.
Yeah.
But at the time, I could only afford to put in maybe 5 or 6 pictures. So
yeah,
it's all a learning curve.
it is, but that's great. It looks really well done. Like, well done to you. Like, and definitely send me on the your links as well, so I can put them up so people can find you. And what way can people find you, just for people that are listening, if they're interested in getting your books? Do you want to give the names of them again, please, Eileen?
Well, first of all, my website is eileenmoynihanauthor.com. And they can find the books on there as well. And I do a weekly blog about different things. I'm on Facebook, I have a page on Facebook just under Eileen Moynihan, and trying to say, and there, if you just look up on Amazon, just look up Eileen Moynihan, you should find them as well. And the names of the books are Rory Gumboots, The Wreck of the Hesperus, beginning with an R, The Dreamsmith, Hattie and Jacques Love London, Francis Darwin Investigates, and A Posy of Wildflowers. That's the poetry one. And then my own adult poetry book is called Dipping into the Font.
Yeah, and thanks very much for sharing your poetry and your story or your book. It sounds really, really good. Well done, Eileen.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, that's well. And I might just ask you a couple of your favourites, Eileen, as well. Do you have a favourite author or a favourite book that comes to mind?
Little Women, I always enjoyed that from a child, and even now I could go back and enjoy it. And I always saw myself as the character Jo March because she was into writing as well.
Oh, very good, very good. So Little Women is one of your favourites?
It is, yes.
Yeah, great. And films, your favourite films, do you have any favourite movies?
I'm very old-fashioned. I love Gone with the Wind. I love the passion of it all.
Right, yeah. Brilliant. Yeah. One of the favourite Christopher films there.
Yes. And The Sound of Music, because I think that was the first proper film I went to see as a child.
Yeah, great. And favourite bands or music? What's your favourite music to listen to when you're dancing?
Well, I like all kinds of music. I'm not that much into rap, but I enjoy all kinds of music, really. But I love everything from country. I love Tamla Motown, I love. And of course, I was a teenager in the 70s, so I love all the 70s.
Yeah, I love the 70s.
Yeah. I like kind of folk music as well, yeah. And traditional music.
Because I always find myself, I'm a disc jockey myself, a DJ. Well, not now because we can't go anywhere. But I find all the 70s and the 80s always people, no matter what party you're doing, everybody just loves that kind of music, you know.
But it's a bit of nostalgia. It brings back your youth, I think, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's great. Yeah. But
when I hear Dancing Queen, I think I'm 17 again. You know.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah. Great song. Yeah. And do you find at the moment that how do you find it hard to kind of get more inspiration at the moment for writing because of the lockdown, or are you finding different ways to get inspiration for your writing at the moment, Eileen?
I find, if you can just get out for a walk, which is great to clear the head. And I find watching, there's a lot of people are doing videos and things now, writers, and that you can watch things online, and that kind of inspires you to listen to somebody else.
Yeah.
I think that, just getting out, I find getting outside definitely helps me. If I get out for a walk or out into the garden where possible.
There's a really good book I read before. I don't know if you've read it. It's called The Artist's Way. It's for anybody that's experiencing artist block, where it gets you to write 3 pages, full-scale pages every morning, and it gets you writing. No matter what you're writing, it just gets your pen to paper. I think that's a really good one, isn't it?
It's a good idea, actually. It's very good.
Yeah, it's a good one. Yeah. Do you have a favorite place, Eileen, to travel on holidays in better times? Do you have any favorite destination?
Well, I have a son in Wellington, New Zealand, and I've been down to New Zealand, I think 3 times now, and I've really enjoyed it. I love it down there. It's fabulous. Yeah. And I've also got a son in Colorado. So.
Oh, great.
And that's beautiful countryside as well. The mountains, it's fabulous.
You've got lovely holiday destinations to go to, so.
Well, once this is over.
I'm
looking forward to when we can go again.
Yeah, hopefully the summertime things will look much more brighter.
But I mean, I just love traveling too. I love going to different countries and just enjoying the what's going on locally and what the culture's like. I take that in.
Yeah, exactly. I agree 100%.
I mean, I love Portugal.
That's a lovely place. I love Portugal myself. So I've been there a few times myself.
It is.
Mm.
And the
And
people are very friendly.
yeah, it's a nice place. The sunshine, we need a lot of sunshine now to cheer us up.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
it.
But I really appreciate you coming on tonight, Eileen, and thanks a million for sharing your poetry and all your books. And then don't forget to send them on to me. Just one last thing, if that's okay. Because it's Mark's motivational podcast, would you mind if you say you had a billboard, what would you put on it to motivate people right now? Could you think of anything to say to motivate people at the moment?
Don't give up. Where there's life, there's hope, as they say.
Yeah, great. Yeah.
So put on some music, get out for a walk,
Mm.
try some writing, read a book.
Mhm.
Just keep yourself occupied. And if you're feeling stressed out, as I say, just relax.
Yeah.
And listen to music or do something that you enjoy, whether it be knitting or crosswords, dot to dot books, whatever.
Yeah, that's great advice. That's great advice. No, thank you. Because I agree with you what you said earlier on as well. You know, the way you were saying you're involved in groups like poetry groups. Because I recently got involved in a writers group myself, where we meet every Saturday
Yes.
and we work off a prompt. I find it really really good and interesting. You have a half an hour to write off a prompt. Did you ever use prompts yourself, Eileen?
We do that all the time now. At the moment, we're meeting online fortnightly. We used to meet in Longford Library every fortnight as well.
Yeah.
So there's less of us now because some people just haven't got good internet or they don't know how to use it because they're slightly older.
Yeah.
But we always, it's just great to see each other and listen to each other's work. And
Yeah.
what we do is we give the prompt for the week, for the fortnight.
Okay.
And then you don't have to use the prompt, but if you do, it helps you get going. Actually, I find I work very well from prompts myself.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's great because yeah, I've only recently joined it like just before Christmas, and I find it fascinating. You know, you only have a half an hour to write, but people come out with great stuff from the prompts, don't they?
They do. No, I actually would enjoy that, just having half an hour to write. But some people, we tried that before, just at one of the group meetings,
Mm.
and some people just didn't. They said they just couldn't do it that way.
Yeah,
So we always have the prompts for like 2 weeks,
that's
and
great.
usually about 2 days before you say, let's write something. But it makes you
Yeah,
write something, but it's just,
yeah,
as I
yeah,
said, deadlines. When I
yeah,
know I have to do something, then I'll do
yeah.
it.
Yeah. It's like goal setting. It's like goal setting, isn't it, Eileen? Like
Yes, yes.
I'm into goal setting. Like I try to set goals for myself to finish books and to do different things during the week. Do you use any strategy like that yourself? Like I know you're the kind of person that to motivates you to get finished. But do you have a goal thing that you use?
Well, every day, as I said, I'm involved in so many different things that
Yeah,
I'm just saying, well, look, this has to be done today.
yeah,
So I'm trying to break it down into what's most important to be done
mm,
that day. And then I do try to plan like, right, that has to be done by Thursday, that has to be done by Friday or whatever.
mm. Yeah, yeah,
But then I find that the most important things get done, but the things that you want to do long term get kind of pushed to the back, and you have to try and remind yourself that they need to be done too.
yeah. Like I think for anybody who's listening, it's a good idea to break things up into chunks, isn't it? Would you recommend that, Eileen?
Definitely, yes. I mean, thing is the first step just to start. I always find once I've started, even if I say, right, I'm going to write one sentence, then when you come to it tomorrow, you know where you're straight into it.
Yeah,
Or you've got an idea, say for my blog now, I'll be thinking about it for about 2 or 3 days. What will I do? What's going to go into it? And I'd kind of research on Google. I'll be Googling things and looking things up before I even start. And then I'm ready to go. When you've got everything to hand, then.
Yeah, it's great. And your blog sounds really, really good. What kind of stuff do you put in your blog? What kind of
Well,
material?
I've divided it up over 4 weeks. I try to base one towards children for 1 week. I try and base one towards parents who want to buy books. It's all usually to do with books, around books. The third week, I tried to do something for writers themselves. And on the fourth week, I tried to do something that's local or national. So there's something that might be happening in the local, or I might do an interview with somebody as well, somebody local,
That's really, really good.
or some writer or something like that. So that's what I try to do anyway.
Yeah, that's really good. And you can find that on your website. If you, I can share your website so people can find your blog as well.
Yes, so it's eileenmoynihanauthor.com.
Brilliant, brilliant. So listen, thanks a million for coming on tonight, Eileen. I really enjoyed the interview with you.
Thank you.
Yeah. So that was Eileen Moynihan, everybody. Thanks again for joining me, Eileen.
Thank you.
Yeah. And is there anything else I meant to say? Is there anything else I haven't asked you on the podcast you'd like to share with the guests tonight, Eileen?
I'm not sure. I think we covered most things.
Yeah, yeah.
Or
Yeah.
was that what do you watch on Netflix?
Yeah,
And I
what
had
do
to
you,
ask my husband because I leave all the technology to him. I said, "What do we watch on Netflix? The Crown?" So I said, "Right, yeah, I'm enjoying The
yeah.
Crown," which
Oh
is
yeah.
very topical today.
I was just thinking that as well. My wife watches The Crown. Like everybody's into the royals at the moment. Like what's happening?
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I
Well, I
haven't.
mean, it is a great soap opera, you have to admit.
Yeah, yeah, I must tune into that one. Because I'm watching Peaky Blinders at the moment. Have you watched that show?
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
I
I've only.
watched the first few series and we stopped watching it then after a while, yeah. It's
Yeah,
very good.
it is very good. Yeah, yeah. I've only watched the first 3 episodes, but it has me hooked. So, like that's the thing about Netflix series; they really kind of get you hooked, can't they?
They do, they do. Yeah, we watch, my husband and myself, we watch a lot of the films, a lot of the police things and murder things.
Yeah, yeah,
They're very good, especially the Scandinavian ones.
yeah,
Yes, I love historical things,
yeah,
and I suppose I like the soppy things as well.
yeah, yeah. You need comedy now. You definitely need comedy now.
Or it's good to have a good comedy as well, yeah.
Yeah. And sorry, just one last thing while I think of it. Do you like any non-fiction books? Do you ever read any non-fiction books, Eileen?
Well, enjoy reading biographies and
Mm,
autobiographies. I'm very kind of a that's I that's kind of what motivates me as well, curiosity. They say
yeah,
killed the cat, but
yeah,
when I get interested in something, I might just read something and say, "Oh, that's interesting," and then I try and read more about that thing or person, because I
yeah,
like to find out. I love mysteries too, like historical mysteries of kind of like what happened, I wonder
yeah,
what happened there.
yeah, yeah. You know, they're really fast, really interesting, really, really interesting. Because I got reading. What got me interested in doing all this kind of stuff was there was a book called Mindset by Carol Dweck. There's a load of stuff like self-help books that I find very, very interesting.
Yes,
Mindset is you probably know it by teaching as well. You got the growth mindset and the fixed mindset. I just find that very, very
yes,
interesting. Because the author she done a survey on a school over in America where she checked who had the growth, what section of children had the growth, and the fixed mindset. It was very, very interesting.
yes. I'm very much into kind of like psychology of things as well,
Yeah,
and how
yeah,
people think. So
yeah. It's a
would
really good.
probably enjoy that.
Yeah, I'd recommend get that one. It's really, really good. Yeah, because she even she even she even talks about a well-known basketball player, Michael Jordan, where he was
Yes,
like he was substandard. He wasn't great, like even though he's the best basketball player in the world, but when he started off when he was younger, he he had to practice more than anybody else to get that way, you know. So he had the fixed or the growth mindset, where if he had the fixed, he would have just gave up, you know. So it's an interesting one to get. It's an interesting one. Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, yeah. Did you ever find any books like that? You know, when you're reading one like that, you kind of, it always reminds you, you know, when you're talking about books, doesn't it?
It does. Yeah, I'm trying to think now. I can't think of one right now, but I'm sure there's loads of them out there. You know?
Yeah. Sorry for putting you in the spot. Yeah. Okay. But yeah. But listen, thanks very much, Eileen. I really appreciate you coming on. I really enjoyed this interview. And make sure you send me on your information and your website so I can post it on the show notes.
Right, thanks very much.
Yeah, thank you. So that was Eileen Moynihan, everybody. I really hope you enjoyed this interview, America's Motivational Podcast, with your host, Mark Lestrange. I'll talk to you during the week. Take care. Thank you for tuning in.